Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Kyle is promised dirt on Audra by Sienna, while Phyllis is planning to double-cross Kane. Billy advises Sally at Society that they should use a popular new social networking site in Los Angeles for their debut. Sally is excited, she and Audra both have contacts there. Billy warns that employing her acquaintance could be her first huge blunder. They keep debating Audra, and Billy gripes that Sally is attempting to assist a friend who might not be eligible. She blew up the last two startups she was engaged with, therefore he believes she will be more of a problem than an asset. Sally is annoyed and reminds him that she is in charge. Billy is still worried. Is Jill aware that Audra is involved? Sally Billy YNR. Sally contends that Jill ought to have faith in her to choose who gets hired. Billy advises her to inform their investor before hiring Audra. His mother will not approve of this at all. Furthermore, she doesn't need her right now because he is totally dedicated. Sally is hesitant to hire Audra, but Billy strongly advises that she consult Jill first. Sally is concerned. Billy continues to consider Chancellor. Billy has suppressed such emotions. She worries that they may reappear with their ugly heads. Billy won't chance losing her once more. Audra shows up at that same moment, prepared to begin the relaunch. Sally YNR. What will Kyle do next? A bewildered Kyle is informed by Claire at the LA cafe that he is not required to return to Genoa City. She was moved when he acknowledged that seeing Noah made her think of her father. It reminds her how close they were. Is she implying that she doesn't want him to leave when Kyle tells her he'll never give up on them? Claire Kyle YNR. When Holden arrives, Claire instructs Kyle to stay or leave based on his own judgment. After she joins Holden, Kyle makes the decision to go to the shadow room in order to learn more about his opponent. Claire continues to talk about how great of a friend Holden is. Inquiring about Kyle, he informs her that she brings out the best in him. He's going home, Claire shrugs. She is unsure of her feelings about that, Holden senses. He gets the classic "it's complicated" from Claire. Holden can see why Kyle is reluctant to part with her. She is very remarkable. Claire says she hasn't decided what she wants yet. Holden Claire YNR. Holden says something that makes Claire think about returning to Genoa City. She questions whether whatever was going on between him and Sienna earlier has anything to do with his decision to change his mind about having her there. What was the subject of your argument? Do you have a reason for not wanting me here? At the shadow room, Kyle discovers Sienna ranting into Mitch's phone that he should have been home 2 days ago and begging him to give her a call back. Kyle asks about Holden Novak and introduces himself as she disconnects. He is attempting to prevent him from seeing the woman he is in love with. The Sienna Kyle YNR. Sienna assumes that he is referring to Claire Newman. Saying she had nothing on Holden, she says she wouldn't tell him if she did. While hearing that Claire and Holden were vibing deflates Kyle, he is reassured to learn that Novak is not the kind of person who would be in a relationship. Changing topics, Kyle queries her regarding Audra Charles. Is Phyllis able to beat Kane? After Kane accuses Phyllis of stealing his AI, they stand side by side in her room. What happens now, she wonders. You decide that, he smirks. Kane questions whether she may attempt to kiss him to confuse him. That's crazy, purrs Phyllis, showing off her pants. He declares that she will assist him in discovering who stole his program, and they joke about whether or not she is telling the truth. Kane Phyllis YNR. Phyllis blames Victor once more, claiming that he attacked after throwing him off balance with Newman Media. She says they should go straight to him. Kane is still hoping that Phyllis would improve his reputation. She must break into the Newman system and check to see whether they have it. She laments because the plan is constantly changing and believes this is just another test. Kane is furious that he was robbed. While he diverts Victor's attention, he needs Phyllis to work on regaining the AI. Phyllis sulks, yes. Have I ever disappointed you before? Kane smiles. The Kane YNR. The last scenes. While Audra talks endlessly about the launch at Society, Billy and Sally remain awkwardly silent. Billy cautions that her position within the organization is changing. Sally clarifies that they must first run her higher by the new investor. Sally says things will be all right. Audra Billy YNR. Claire questions Holden about the incident he and Audra got into at the cafe in LA. He maintains that everything is behind him. Claire gets the impression that he is hiding something from her. She wants to assist and wants to know what it is, but should she ask Sienna instead? After attempting to deflect, Holden claims that Sienna knows very little about him and much less about Audra, despite the fact that everyone is aware of her trouble. Sienna tries to dismiss Kyle in the shadow room and advises that he return to Genoa City. Kyle requires a means of correcting Audra. He feels that they don't get along. Even though Sienna is opposed to this, she appears to be persuaded when he brings up the idea of defending Claire. Sienna's phone rang at that very moment. It's Mitch. If Kyle returns tonight, she promises to give him something useful. Sienna Kyle. Phyllis tells Kane he can rely on her in her apartment. He'll be aware of their next course of action. I'll be ready and waiting, she thinks. Kane takes out his phone as soon as he leaves the suite and requests that someone keep an eye on Phyllis and notify him of her every move. Phyllis texts Victor inside the suite to let him know they must meet. It's urgent. Kyle Abbott never thought a single conversation in Los Angeles could change the course of his life, but that's exactly what was happening as Sienna Bacall dangled a promise in front of him, a promise of dirt on Audra Charles that could destroy her career and expose secrets even Audra didn't know were about to surface. Kyle leaned in across the dimly lit bar of the shadow room, every muscle in his jaw tightening as Sienna's voice dripped with temptation and danger. You want to take her down, Kyle? She whispered, her eyes darting toward the door as if someone were listening. Then you're going to want what I have. But you have to earn it. The words sent a jolt through him. Kyle wasn't sure if he was ready to make a deal with someone like Sienna, but after everything Audra had done, her manipulations, her betrayals, her lies, this might be the leverage he needed. What Kyle didn't realize was that Sienna's motives were anything but pure. She wasn't just offering information, she was crafting a trap, one that could pit everyone, from Kyle to Phyllis to Billy, against each other in a deadly game of deceit. At the same time, across town, Phyllis Summers was planning her own dangerous maneuver. In her sleek hotel suite, her laptop glowed in the darkness as lines of code flickered on the screen. Double-cross Kane Ashby, she whispered to herself with a smirk. Oh, sweetheart, I already have. Kane had accused her of stealing his AI project, convinced that she'd hacked into his system and rerouted the data. The truth was murkier than even he imagined. Phyllis had indeed accessed the program, but not for the reasons he thought. She had done it to protect herself, to get ahead of a game that Kane started long before she entered it. And now, with Victor Newman's influence pressing down on her like a storm cloud, Phyllis had to choose her next move carefully. Every step she took could either ruin Kane or expose her. You'll help me find out who stole it, Kane had said earlier, smirking with that mixture of charm and arrogance that made Phyllis want to both slap him and kiss him. Unless you'd rather kiss me to distract me again. Her laugh had been as fake as it was seductive. You wish, she purred. But deep down, Phyllis was already working on the next phase of her plan, a plan that might just turn Kane into her latest victim. Meanwhile, Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra sat at Society, a swirl of tension between them as they sipped their drinks and tried to navigate the chaos of their new business venture. We need to go big, Billy, Sally insisted, tapping on her phone as she scrolled through an article about a new social networking platform in Los Angeles. This site is trending, it's pulling millions of users in days. If we make our debut there, Chancellor Winters will explode with visibility. Billy's expression remained skeptical, his brow furrowed in that familiar look of cautious disapproval. Sally, he said, voice low and steady, the last two startups Audra Charles touched blew up, and not in the good way. You really want to risk everything by trusting her again? Sally's eyes flashed with irritation. I'm not trusting her. I'm using her connections. There's a difference. Billy leaned back, arms crossed, clearly unconvinced. You're walking a fine line. You think Jill's going to approve of you bringing Audra into this? My mother will hit the roof when she hears that name. Sally sighed heavily. Jill needs to trust me to make my own calls. If I want to hire someone, I'll hire them. Billy shook his head. Then at least tell Jill before you do it. I'm telling you, this is one mistake she won't forgive. Sally's confidence wavered for a split second. Billy's warning hit closer to home than she wanted to admit. Deep down, she knew Audra was a risk, her reputation for chaos and self-destruction preceded her. But Sally also knew what it was like to be underestimated, to be the woman no one believed in until she proved them wrong. Maybe, just maybe, Audra deserved one more chance. Still, as Billy's gaze lingered on her with that worried intensity, Sally couldn't shake the unease creeping up her spine. This isn't about business, is it? She asked softly. Billy's lips pressed into a thin line. You think I don't see it, Sally? You've got that same spark I used to have before everything fell apart. But I don't want you making the same mistakes I did. He paused, his voice dropping lower. Don't let loyalty to the wrong person sink you. For a moment, the air between them thickened with unspoken history, regret, affection, maybe even something deeper. Then Audra's name flashed on Sally's phone screen, and the spell broke. Across the city, Kyle sat in a quiet LA cafe, staring at his half-empty coffee cup as Claire Newman slid into the seat across from him. You don't have to go back to Genoa City, she said gently. Her eyes softened as she spoke, her tone almost pleading. You've done enough. Stay here, Kyle. You deserve some peace. Kyle exhaled slowly, rubbing his temples. I can't, he murmured. Every time I see Noah lying there, I think about what we've lost, and what we could still lose. Claire's eyes glistened. You're talking like it's the end. It doesn't have to be. Their hands brushed across the table, lingering just a heartbeat too long. But before either could say more, Holden Novak appeared in the doorway, his expression dark and unreadable. Claire pulled her hand back quickly, her composure slipping for just a second. You should do what feels right, she told Kyle softly. Stay, or go. But make that choice for you. When she stood and joined Holden, Kyle's decision was already forming in his mind. He wasn't leaving, not yet. Not until he found out what Holden was hiding. The truth was, Holden Novak had his own secrets, secrets that were becoming harder to bury. When Claire confronted him later, her voice trembled slightly. Was whatever happened between you and Sienna the reason you didn't want me here? She asked, eyes locked on his. What were you fighting about, Holden? His silence said more than words could. Don't lie to me, Claire pressed, crossing her arms. Holden finally sighed. You're reading too much into it. Sienna and we go way back. But it's over. Claire wasn't convinced. She could see the tension in his jaw, the flicker of something unresolved in his eyes. Does Sienna know something about Audra? She asked suddenly, and Holden froze. Why would you ask that? He replied too quickly. Because Kyle's still here, she said quietly. And he's looking for answers. At the shadow room, Sienna's patience was wearing thin. Her phone buzzed for what felt like the 100th time, and she snapped, yelling into it, Mitch, where the hell are you? You should have been home 2 days ago. Her voice echoed against the walls, laced with panic and fury. The moment she hung up, she noticed Kyle standing behind her, his expression unreadable. Rough day? He asked evenly. Sienna turned sharply, eyes narrowing. Who the hell are you? Kyle Abbott, he said, extending his hand. I'm trying to protect someone you might know, Claire Newman. From a man named Holden Novak. Her lips curved into a half-smile, half-sneer. Claire Newman. Figures. She took a slow sip of her drink. You're wasting your time. Holden's not the type to get tied down. Kyle frowned. You know him well enough to say that? Sienna shrugged. Let's just say, I've seen his type before. He takes what he wants and disappears before the mess starts. Kyle leaned closer. And Audra Charles? You know her too, don't you? That name made Sienna's gaze flicker, just for a moment, but Kyle caught it. Why do you care about Audra? She asked, tone suddenly cautious. Because she's about to ruin more lives than you can imagine, he said darkly. Sienna smirked. Then maybe you and I can help each other. Back in Genoa City, Phyllis and Kane's uneasy alliance continued to unravel. What happens now? She'd asked earlier, her tone half teasing, half threatening. You decide that, Kane had said with a smirk. Unless, of course, you'd rather try distracting me again. Phyllis rolled her eyes, but there was a dangerous glint there too. Please. I could confuse you without even trying. Kane's amusement faded as he stepped closer. You'll help me find out who stole my AI, Phyllis. And if you're lying, he let the threat hang in the air. She crossed her arms. You think Victor Newman's behind this? Because if he is, you're out of your league. Kane clenched his jaw. That's why I need you. Phyllis sighed, feigning exasperation. Fine. I'll check the Newman system, but if I get caught, I'm blaming you. Kane smirked again. I'll take the heat. As he left, Phyllis muttered under her breath, You'll take more than that, Kane. Because the truth was, Phyllis already knew who had stolen the AI, and she intended to sell the information to the highest bidder. Victor was already expecting her message, and when she texted him, we need to meet. Urgent. She knew the next move would change everything. That night, at Society, tension filled the air as Audra chattered nonstop about the company relaunch, oblivious to the cold silence from Sally and Billy across the table. Billy finally broke it. You realize this changes everything, right? Audra blinked, confused. What are you talking about? Your position, he said simply. You're not just an employee anymore. You're a liability. Sally frowned. Billy, no, Sally, he cut in sharply. She needs to hear this. You don't just walk into a company after wrecking 2 others and expect trust. Audra's expression hardened. Maybe I made mistakes, but I learned from them. Billy leaned forward. Then prove it. Because the moment Jill finds out you're involved, this entire deal could blow up. Audra looked at Sally, who tried to muster a reassuring smile. It'll be fine, she said softly. But even she didn't sound convinced. Later, Claire found herself once again confronting Holden, her instincts screaming that something wasn't right. What happened between you and Audra? She asked. Holden stiffened. Nothing that concerns you. That's not what Sienna said, she lied, testing his reaction. He froze. Sienna doesn't know anything. Doesn't she? Claire pressed. The silence stretched between them. Finally, Holden muttered, Whatever she told you, it's not true. But Claire saw the flicker of guilt in his eyes. You're lying, she whispered. Meanwhile, Sienna wasn't done playing games. She leaned close to Kyle, lowering her voice. You want a way to deal with Audra? Come back tonight. I'll have something for you. Something useful. Kyle nodded slowly, though his gut told him this was going to backfire. As he left, Sienna's phone rang again. This time, it was Mitch, and his voice was trembling. We've got a problem, he said. Someone's been asking about Audra. Someone powerful. Sienna's smile faded. Then it's time we remind them who they're dealing with. Across town, Phyllis stood in front of her window, the city lights reflecting off her face as she whispered into her phone, Yes, Victor. I have what you need. But this time I want something in return. On the other end, Victor's gravelly voice replied, You always do, Phyllis. When she hung up, her expression hardened. You think you can play me, Kane? Think again. As Kane walked down the hall outside her suite, he lifted his phone. Follow her, he ordered the man on the other end. Every move she makes. I want to know who she meets, where she goes, everything. Back inside, Phyllis smirked, as if she already knew he'd ordered surveillance. "Let the games begin," she whispered. And somewhere across Los Angeles, Sienna poured herself another drink, thinking about the chaos she had just unleashed, about the dirt she was about to hand Kyle, the secrets she was holding back, and the truth that could tear Genoa City apart. Because Sienna Bacall wasn't just another schemer. She was the wild card, one with a plan that connected every player in this tangled web. Kyle wanted revenge. Phyllis wanted power. Kane wanted justice. And Sienna? She wanted control. What none of them realized was that by the time the sun rose again, their fates would all be entangled, and someone would pay the ultimate price for crossing the wrong woman. The night air in Los Angeles was thick with heat and secrets as Kyle returned to the shadow room, his pulse quickening with every step. The city outside buzzed with the kind of life that thrived on deception, flashing lights, whispered deals, and faces you couldn't quite trust. Inside, the bar was dimly lit, shadows crawling across the walls as if they, too, were hiding something. Sienna Bacall was already there, perched at the corner booth, her long legs crossed, a glass of scotch in her hand. She looked up as he approached, her smile slow, knowing, dangerous. "You came back," she said softly, almost taunting. Kyle slid into the seat across from her. "You said you had something on Audra."